Good morning, everyone. I'd like to give a big shout out to all my Florida friends out there today. I heard my buddy Randy Fine, the great congressman from Florida, already spoke. How did you guys like his speech? And just to set the stage and let you know where I'm at, he has been one of my best friends for years. We vacationed together, and he was my roommate in Tallahassee, and I was able to give him that nickname, the Hebrew Hammer, because you're not going to find a stronger voice or somebody that's willing to go to bat for you more than Randy Fine. So Randy, thank you for everything that you do in your leadership. The problem was when you're outspoken like Randy Fine, sometimes you're going to be a target, and so people need to step up and help you be successful. Thank you all so much for having me at the RJC's annual Leadership Summit this week. It's truly an honor to be here in Las Vegas and to get a chance to speak to you. Before I get started, I want to say one thing. On behalf of the Republican National Committee, thank you. Last year, RJC was a strong ally to President Trump and his campaign, raising and spending $15 million in support of the president. This helped create the historic levels of support we saw from Jewish Americans, including in critical states like Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. As the newly elected chairman of the RNC, one of the best parts of my job is getting to work with conservative organizations across the country who fight every day to build our movement and grow the Republican Party. The RJC is one of those critical partners. For 40 years, the RJC has connected Republican candidates and officials with Jewish leaders and voters. I've served as a Republican Party chairman at the local, state, and national level. And one of the hardest things for a party to do is connect with communities where it may not have strong ties. The RJC has filled this gap, serving as a bridge between the Republican Party and the Jewish community, helping us make vital inroads with Jewish voters. I think that partnership and outreach is more important now than it has ever been at any point in my lifetime. We're facing a rising tide of anti-Semitism in this country. We are seeing Jewish Americans harassed, assaulted, and targeted for violence at alarming and unprecedented rates. Many of our elite institutions, including the Ivy League college campuses, not only tolerate, but actively foster anti-Semitism. And instead of being condemned, anti-Semites are far too often given a public platform and allowed to spew their hatred without consequence. As I speak to you, we are on the verge of seeing Zohran Mamdani, a communist anti-Semite who refused to explicitly condemn Hamas or the phrase globalized intifada, elected as mayor of our nation's largest city. Democrat candidates for governor in New Jersey, Mickey Sherrill, campaigned with an avid supporter of anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan, and Abigail Spanberger, running for governor in Virginia, has failed to condemn a fellow Democrat legislator who made overly anti-Semitic remarks. These are not isolated incidents. Anti-Semitism has found a home in the Democrat Party. Instead of standing up for Jewish Americans over the last 4 years, Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress were silent. Thankfully, last November's voters said enough. We now have a president who is fighting to stop this scourge that has spread across our country. President Trump promised on the campaign trail that he would be the best friend Jewish Americans ever had in the White House. And I believe he has delivered on that promise. One of President Trump's first actions when he took office was to sign an executive order to take unprecedented steps to combat anti-Semitism. He ordered the Justice Department to stop pro-Hamas rioters and protect Jewish Americans from harassment. He said that if you're a foreigner in this country and you celebrate Hamas' campaign of kidnapping, rape, and murder, you're going to be deported. And he created a new Justice Department task force solely dedicated to fighting anti-Semitism. President Trump has also fulfilled his promise to go after colleges and universities that allow the spread of anti-Semitism on our campuses. Under his leadership, the Department of Education is investigating and holding accountable 60 universities that allowed anti-Semitic harassment and discrimination. He forced Columbia University to pay $20 million to Jewish employees who were targeted by the pro-Hamas mobs after the October 7th attacks. By the way, that's the largest ever settlement for victims of anti-Semitism for workers of any religion. And when the schools have failed to protect Jewish students, President Trump stood up and cut off billions of federal funding. Ultimately, Jewish Americans, though, are just like every other American. They want to live in communities where they feel safe, where police have the resources they need to protect them and get criminals off the streets, where illegal aliens aren't allowed to run free but are swiftly deported. They want to send their children to good schools with teachers that will educate, not indoctrinate, where they, not some bureaucrat, has a say over what their children are taught. And they want an economy that works for them, gas and groceries that are affordable, and better jobs with bigger paychecks. President Trump has delivered on all of those promises. He's deported criminal illegals and surging federal resources into the Democrat-run cities that have let crime run rampant. He's empowering parents in charge of their children's education and returning the authority over the education policy to the states. He fought for and delivered the largest tax cuts for working families in American history, including no tax on tips, overtime, or Social Security. But what might be the President Trump's greatest accomplishment is doing for what many thought was impossible just a few months ago: freeing the remaining hostages that Hamas has taken in the October 7th attack, including several Americans, and halting the bloodshed in Gaza. President Trump is the only one that ever could accomplish such a feat, and it's for the simple reason of peace through strength. When both our enemies and our allies are dealing with President Trump, they know what he means. They know he means what he says, and he won't back down. Our adversaries across the world didn't fear Joe Biden. Our allies didn't respect him. But with President Trump back in the Oval Office, the era of America weakness is over. I had the opportunity to visit Israel after the October 7th attacks. It was a deeply profound trip that I will remember for the rest of my life. Most of the Americans don't fully realize that Israel lives each day under existential threat of annihilation. When I visited the Nova Festival site where Hamas terrorists slaughtered more than 300 innocent concertgoers, I understood just how real the threat is. Too many Americans don't realize that the exact same ideology and the exact same hatred that fueled October 7th attacks poses a threat here at home too. That ideology, the hatred, is growing in today's Democrat Party. That's why what the RJC does is more important than ever. If we're going to defeat anti-Semitism, we need to mobilize voters, convince Jewish Americans to join our ranks, and win elections. And last year we did just that. Alongside the RJC, President Trump has done incredible outreach to Jewish voters to bring them into our party. President Trump received 35% of the Jewish vote in 2024. That's the highest percentage any Republican president since 1980s, and a 15-point swing from 2020. 31% of the Jewish vote right now identifies as Republicans, which is a record high. But even though we won in 2024 and made important gains, our fight is not over. We still need all the help we can get to highlight President Trump's historic accomplishments and tell voters how Republicans in Congress are fighting for the American people every day. We need to grow our majority so we can keep this momentum going and give President Trump the support he needs for a full 4-year term with a Republican Congress. Historically, winning the midterms when you have the White House is incredibly difficult. In the last 100 years, only 3 times has the party in power gained seats in the midterm election. But with President Trump leading our party and strong Republicans in Congress like Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, and Congressman Fine, I know it's possible. And with the support of organizations like the RJC, I think we have a chance not only just to defy history, but to make it. Thank you, God bless, and God bless the United States of America. Enjoy the rest of your events.